Hi guys, and we are live. It is our Wednesday night, 7:30 hashtag Educators Can night, and I'm on my own. I'm solo. So Nikki is doing family things tonight. She's got a beautiful baby girl that has turned 1, and they are celebrating tonight. So I hope they have lots and lots of fun. And I hope that you take away from that family time has to come first. It's really, really important. And so I've got some fabulous questions for you tonight. And as you come on, make sure you say hi, because I would quite like to connect tonight with other educators and have a really good chat about what we've done for the week and how you are going. So my very first... Hi, Kathleen. How are you? Thank you for saying hi. I felt like I was all here all on my own for a minute. Oh, wait on. It's out. Yep. It's our Educators Can. Educators Can. And I really love doing Wednesday nights. Both Nikki and I love we chat about how we can motivate educators and how we can talk about topics that will really help you and that you're really interested in and that you really need to know at the moment. And trying to keep the topics that we talk about up to date and answer questions that you really want answered. So the first question, and this was a question asked by Christina, I think about 2 weeks ago, I think we missed it because it's on my list and it wasn't ticked off. So I wanted to come back to it. And it is, what can you expect from an educational leader? And I think sometimes we expect our educational leader to come in and want to do our program with us. And I think this one can be sometimes a hard one because in a centre, yes, they can connect with educators on a daily basis. But when you have an educational leader in a family daycare setting, they may only get to see you once every month or 2 months. I know I probably see mine a little bit more regularly than others because she's often a playgroup for us and we can bounce our programming ideas off her. But an educational leader is someone that you can go to for motivation with your programming and someone that you can bounce ideas off. And yes, we bounce ideas off our CDOs, of course, but this is someone that specifically will ask you about how are you going with your programming? How are you leading and guiding and motivating the children in your care? Is there anything that you want help with in regards to follow-ups or where you should be going with your program? So I did want to touch on this because it was a question asked. So Kathleen, how often do you see your educational leader? And actually, do you actually know in your scheme who they are? And how often do you connect with yours? Because I think sometimes educators forget they're there. They don't realise. And they are generally often a CDO as well. So you're actually seeing them regularly. But sometimes we don't see them very often at all and we have to actually seek them out. And so... So Kathleen says once every 2 months we have 2, but I only have 1 allocated to me. Absolutely. Great. I'm glad that 1, you know who it is, and 2, that you actually see them. I know a lot of educators sort of forget they're there, and they're there, they are there to help us, and do connect with them when it comes to. Oh, hi, Marilyn. I'm not sure. It's not showing properly, but hi, Marilyn. How are you? Oh, I don't sound too good at all. Hey, I'm good. I am. I'm actually good. I actually took yesterday off. I don't know if you read my blog post or not, but I felt really, really guilty. And Monday I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm all right. And then Tuesday, I actually had 2 children cancel because they weren't well. And I went, right, that's a sign. I need to take a step. So I actually spent most of yesterday sleeping. So thank you for asking. But I'm just croaky now. I don't know how long my croakiness is going to take to go away, but I actually do feel okay. But my blog post this morning was about, I don't know, I needed to be really aware. I felt really guilty about taking yesterday off. And we encourage parents to keep children home when they're not well. And we talk to them about not bringing siblings in if they're not well. And then here I was trying to push through and still educate and have all the children when I really needed to just sleep for the day. So I did take a step back yesterday, and I did feel really guilty. But I did try and work myself through that and go, no, this is where you have to set an example. And if you're actually unwell, you need to not be in care. And that's with the other children as well. Plus, I didn't want to pass it on to all the other children. But now I do actually feel fine. I'm just croaky, which is just part of being me. So I hope that helps a little bit with the educational leader. It does. They are someone that we are supposed to find motivation from, that we can connect with our program, that it's fabulous to bounce ideas off, and that is someone extra other than your CDO or your coordinator that you can go to and really nut out any problems that you're having. And if you don't see yours regularly, if you don't know who they are, then do seek them out and use them. That's what they're there for. That's why you're paying your scheme fees, is for one of them to be paying for that educational leader. Now, my other question that I thought was really interesting that I got sent this week, and that I really like, because I actually do enjoy talking about schoolies and whatnot, but it's how do you cope with school children in school? And so ladies, how do you cope with your school children in school holidays? I really enjoy school holidays. I actually try and put it forward as a celebration. Let's celebrate that we've got through the term. Let's celebrate that we get some downtime. And not that we as educators feel like we have downtime because we have an extra workload when we have the schoolies all week. But if we can have the mindset that this is a break as well, that this is a change in routine, that this is an opportunity for us to encourage the children to connect and see other children that they wouldn't normally see, then I think that's a really valuable mindset to get into about the school holidays. So a couple of things that I wanted to mention that I do when I have schoolies coming in is I contact parents, because my schoolies, some of them I don't actually see through the school term. Some of them I only see in school holidays. So I do contact parents and talk to them about what their children are into, how they've changed, any difficulties, anything that they're struggling with, and see if a parent has ideas for us to do with their school children through the school holidays. So that's a number one that might help you. The other thing I do is I make a list at the end of the school holidays with the school children. I actually make a list of things that they can think of they'd like to do with the next school, on the next school holidays. So I have a little bit of a list there already. And then when the children come in at the start of school holidays, we actually all lie on the floor with our with a big sheet of paper and some markers, and we write out all sorts of crazy, crazy ideas that they might like to do. And I try and look at those ideas, and I don't instantly say no. I try and work out how I can facilitate those in a doable way for those children. And so we have that list that we can work with. And for the littlies as well, I try and talk to the schoolies about what would you like to do with the littlies? What would you like to do that they don't normally get to do? So one of the things that we like to do in school holidays is actually go and fly a kite. I find that it's something that I really like to do with the children, but I find it difficult with just the littlies. So by including that as an experience that we do with the older children, becomes something that the littlies actually look forward to. Another thing that we do that I only do in school holidays is take them to the movies. I find that quite difficult to do just with my 4 littlies. And if I've got 3 big uns as well, and I always take an adult helper, it's something that they all look forward to doing as a special treat for the school holidays. So changing that school holidays into a celebration rather than just what are we going to do? So it is about mindset, but it's about what we can offer the children as well. So yeah, I have a list of experiences that have worked in other school holidays that I can work to and that offer as well. I ask other educators about experiences that they're doing with their schoolies, because I think it's really important to know what works in our area if we're going to go out on a trip outside, on an excursion. Then to have ideas from other educators on what has worked for them in our area is a really great place to start. I love to build excursions through the holidays. And it's something that, make it different from what you normally do in school term. And of course, have a look around for extra ideas. So extra ideas that you can collect from Pinterest, books, forums, the net. Like, really dig around and see what interesting ideas that you can come up with. So, ladies, do you have schoolies? And I think, is Queensland just finishing their holidays, whereas New South Wales definitely has another week to go, and my loch has another 2 weeks to go. So we have 3 and a bit weeks in the middle of the year for the school holidays. And that's why I really wanted to talk to you about schoolies, because some of us have another whole 2 weeks of school holidays. So recognise last week for Queensland, this week. Yeah, okay. So Kelly, one thing that you could do if you've got schoolies is talk to them about, because it's Wednesday, so Thursday and Friday, you've got 2 days left to actually ask them about what they would like to do next holidays. So you've got a little bit of prep time, and you can really have a think about what you can do out of what they've requested. So Marilyn says, I do the same as you, Kath, as I often have children go away on holidays. So I also have a kinder child come in school holidays. Yeah, absolutely. And her school-age brother as well, school-age children that may only come in holidays. Yeah, so we're only seeing them very, very rarely, but we want them to feel welcome, and we want to feel connected, and we want them to really enjoy coming out to us for the holidays. So we don't go on excursions, but we cook together. Oh, I love cooking. Yeah, absolutely. It's the children all love making cupcakes and decorating them. Most of them love art and craft activities as well. And absolutely, it it has a different feel. And if we make it have a different feel as well, then we can really build on those couple of weeks and make sure that they really enjoy coming to us for care. So one thing I wanted to talk to you about as well is recognizing that a lot of schoolies are absolutely exhausted. I know my Lock is just beside himself at the end of term. And I find with my schoolies, they often come in and want to sleep on the lounge for the first couple of days. And the first couple of times they did that, I was like, oh, okay, well, this isn't going to work. But I found that they only did that for a couple of hours on the first couple of days. And then they were bouncing. They were ready for to be offered experiences and to be encouraged to interact with the little children and the smaller children, and to really get into having some fun. And that's what it's about as well. So yes, recognize that they need downtime, but also don't force them into our Lily's routine. They don't need that. Yes, they may want to be part of that, but they also need to be recognized that they are older and they have had 10 whole weeks of a very firm routine. They don't want to come to us and be forced into another routine. And I find when I talk to educators about what's not working with them and schoolies, it's often the fact that they are trying to very rigidly keep to the same routine that they've had all term. And that often doesn't work with schoolies. So with my schoolies, what works quite effectively is to run 2 routines, which can be interesting and challenging for us as educators. But I would definitely encourage you to try and let those schoolies have a little bit more of their own routine and recognize that they don't necessarily want to fall into the routine that the Lilies have had for the rest of the term. So one thing I've got is, and I've spoke to you about this before, is that I have my Shine as an Educator podcast. And last week we celebrated 1,000 educators on there. So I was super, super excited. But I do have a Celebrating School Holidays, and it's number 41 if you guys would be interested in listening to that. It just talks about a little bit more about what I've been talking about tonight. So Kelly says, such a good point. I don't have schoolies yet, but I will in 18 months when my big boy gets to school. Absolutely. And I was stressing about including them in the routine, but I felt instantly relieved when I found that their time with me is focused on fun and downtime. Absolutely. As soon as that light bulb went off, I thought of it all differently. Yeah, they're there to recoup. If they were home, they would be lying around on the lounge and probably playing Xbox. Not that we want them to do that for the holidays, but we do need to recognize that they have had, they've had their learning. They've had their routine, 10 weeks of it. They need school holidays. They need downtime. They need fun, and it's up to us to absolutely to help with that and to offer that to them and encourage that to them. So my next question was actually one that I answered in the forum this week, and I thought I would share with you. And it is it too early to start thinking about Christmas holidays, and what do you recommend for time off? So I read this and I was like, oh, this is perfect, because don't wait to a week or 2 weeks before Christmas holidays to tell your parents about your time off. And I know it's 6 months away and it's a long time away, but have a little bit of a think about what you as an educator need to, what time you'd like to have off, what time for your family, what time for your children, and what time for yourself. And I used to not take any time off over Christmas because I had parents that ran their own business. So Christmas time was really important for them, and they actually needed extra time at Christmas. And so I used to take some time off in February and then some time off in September. And at the moment, I will be taking about a week off in September. We go on a ski trip, so that's something that I do with my older boys, which I think is really important for us as a family. But Christmas time, now that I don't have any families that run their own businesses, and most of them take about a week to a week and a half off, I have been taking 2 weeks off over Christmas. So I have already spoken to my families about that. They know that I will be having those 2 weeks off over Christmas. And sometimes we actually need a little bit of thinking time to work out what we need, and don't leave it to the last minute. So I did want to just mention this tonight. I know it's 6 months away, but have a bit of a think about how much time you would need. And now, if you do need 2 weeks, then now is a great time to start budgeting for it, because I know some educators really will need to budget for those 2 weeks. And so if you think about it now and plan for it now, and you do need to budget for it, then really have a think about that now. Marilyn writes, I run routines to suit all the children, especially meal times, as school age have lunch later. They do than what my preschoolers do. So the school ages eat when they are ready. Absolutely. I find that I run, I have a padded mat on the kitchen floor, and then I have my other table with the chairs set up around it. And I always, school holidays, we try and set 6 chairs around it just so the children can move around and not just have but then they also have the mat on the kitchen floor. So they have a choice of where they sit, so that I find that there sort of ends up being groups of children, and they mingle differently as well. So have a little think about with your schoolies, how can you offer, or during school holidays and with your schoolies, how can you offer meal times that are slightly different than in school term as well? And that will give your littlies a feel for, oh, it's a bit different this week. Yes, we've got extra children, but yes, I've got extra choice on where I can sit to eat my lunch as well. So lots of different things that can be introduced to just make it feel different, but make it feel like a special time for the children, rather than an overrun crazy time, which I know it often ends up being as well. So guys, tell me, have you planned how much time over Christmas will you be having off? Let me know. Have you thought about it already? Have you not given it a thought? Marilyn says, that's a great idea to have a mat. Absolutely. Give the children choice, and make it a choice that maybe they don't get all the time. Make it slightly different. All right, and this is my last question. So you guys might need to give me another question if you want us to keep going. But this is our last question, and it's also one that I answered in the forums. I don't think it was today. I think it was in the last couple of days. And it was how to keep a child entertained if they are the only one. And I really wanted to draw your attention to the word entertained, because my instant reaction was, ooh, entertained. So I firmly believe our job as educators is not to entertain the children. I think as educators, our job is to, and what we really want to do, is engage and challenge the children, to offer learning opportunities, offer different opportunities. So Kelly says, I negotiate with families. My rules are essentially tell me when you usually have holidays. If that works for me, I'll try to accommodate. So it's a win-win both, but there's no guarantees. Absolutely, yeah. Now's a great time to talk to parents about what they're planning. Are they going to have, their holidays in October or November? Or are they going to have holidays over Christmas? I think most families would know by now. They've decided they're looking forward to holidays, if they are going to have a big chunk of holidays. And so ask them, and yeah, that's great, Kelly. Negotiate with them. Absolutely, you want them to feel like it's a win-win. And two, if children are having, I have a family coming up that's having 3 weeks off next month, and so it's a family of 2, and so I've actually asked my Thursday children, because there'll only be 2 of them, if they would like to hop onto the Wednesday spot, and then there's a Thursday fully free that I get off. So if you know with enough notice and you're having that conversation and you're having that communication with your parents, then you might actually end up with a win-win as well. So yeah, definitely talk to them, communicate to them, ask them, have they decided on their holidays? Because it's really important for us to have holidays as well. But you really want to know what they're doing. So, yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that, Kelly. I totally agree. So keeping, with keeping children entertained, if they have when we only have one, I don't know about you guys, but I very, very rarely end up with days where I only have one child. If I know that I'm going to have a day with only one child, usually I'll offer it out to all the other parents to as an extra, as a casual day, and try and get some extras in for that child. But if I do end up having one child, then I look at it as a fabulous opportunity to go out to either visit another educator. My favorite thing is to go to the library. And I think the last time I only had one child, I think we actually went shopping and we bought fruit and made a fruit salad. So we did a little bit of chopping and cutting and that sort of thing that I felt more comfortable just with one child with. So you can look at it as an opportunity to do something different for that child that you wouldn't normally do. But some ideas are, take them to the park, visit another educator, do some cooking, do some shopping, those sorts of things. Really look at it as an opportunity to go out and about doing something that you wouldn't normally do. So Kelly says, I've done that too. It's brilliant when that happens. Yeah, absolutely. And I think you mean swapping the days so that you get a day off. Absolutely. Marilyn wrote, most of my families take at least 2 off over Christmas. So am I missing the rest of that? Let me just... Nope. And Eden writes, I'm not in family daycare, but want to be. Fabulous, Eden. And once had only one child. I had to do some photocopying, so I had a 2-year-old come to the photocopier with me. Ended up spending an hour with a very inquisitive 2-year-old, teaching him how to use it. We even photocopied his hand. I love that. Really making the most of an opportunity that presents themselves and turning it into a learning experience. I think that is absolutely brilliant. And as educators, if we're positive and we look at each opportunity, how we can make it into a learning experience, how we can offer the children learning experiences, even if it's only one-on-one, or even if it's 2-on-1, or if it's all 4, how can we turn the opportunities that we have into learning experiences? I really dislike the word entertain. I don't know that we should be entertaining the children. I think that we're more than that. Eden writes, I have a question with regards to family daycare. Do you need excursion forms signed every time you take the children out somewhere? Okay, so there's two types of excursion forms. One is a routine excursion form and one is a non-routine excursion form. So at the moment, I think I have 3 routine excursion forms, and they are places that you are taking the children regularly. So I can take my children to playgroup. I can take my children for a walk around the block, and I can take my children to the Mud Hut, which is a playground just down the road from me. So they're my 3 routine excursions. Now, parents do need to know where their children are all the time. So if I decided that I wanted to go to the Mud Hut at, say, 10 o'clock on a Wednesday, and I hadn't told any of the parents, but they have got all their routine excursion notes signed, I wouldn't need to get them to sign anything, but I would send them a text to say, look, we're going out to the Mud Hut for an hour. And we'll go up to the park and have a play. So that's our routine excursion notes, and they're signed. So we do have the opportunity to go to places that we love doing at the drop of a hat. And the other type of excursion note is a non-routine excursion note, and it needs to be signed. And say I am taking my children to the movies. We do it very rarely. I need to do a risk assessment and have that okayed with my scheme. They'll come back and check that I have my non-routine excursion form signed by each of the parents, and off we go. Now, I know excursions, routine, non-routine excursions are often made a really big deal of, but I find if you're a little bit organised and you've thought about where you'd like to take the children, then you actually can get out and about and talk to your scheme, because they will have also places that they encourage you to go, like playgroup or like the library and those sorts of places, because they're really valuable for the children. And that is one of the wonderful things about being a family daycare educator, is that if you do want to take all the children to the library for the morning, as long as it's okayed with your scheme, you actually have the opportunity to do that. So Marilyn says, sorry, didn't finish. We usually take at least 2 weeks off over Christmas as well. Absolutely. It's really important to have a think about how much time you do need off. Eden writes, okay, that's awesome. When I can finally be in family daycare, I have so many exciting weekly things I want to do with them. Absolutely. And, I do find that there's some educators that love to go out every day. I actually like to go out once a week. Fortnightly, we go to playgroup, and in between, we go somewhere else. So we might go to the adventure playground or to the library or to the Mud Hut playground, or we might visit another educator. It's, I really enjoy that. But for me, once a week is enough. We're so busy doing other things that it really does. I think once a week really works for us. Kathleen writes, we go out every day. I wouldn't cope if we had to stay home all the time. No, me neither. I really enjoy going out. It's social. I don't ever feel like I'm stuck, but I quite enjoy being at home and having the children with me. But I do enjoy that outing once a week as well. Marilyn writes, also we have to let the scheme know with both routine and extraordinary excursions, as the scheme has to know where the educator and children are at all times. Okay. So even when you're going out, Marilyn, you need to let your scheme know if you're going on a routine excursion. That's interesting. I think All schemes are just a little bit different, aren't they? And it's really important to know what your scheme requires of you as an educator. If you change schemes or you start in a new area with another scheme, don't just assume that the rules that you had with your last scheme apply. Make sure that you really, really know your policies of your scheme that you're with. It's a really important point, Marilyn. Thank you. Okay, guys, so I'm going to leave that there for tonight. Thank you so much for the discussion. I really, really love connecting with educators, and I love our discussions that we have on Wednesday nights, and I hope you find it uplifting. Nikki and I will be back next Wednesday night at 7:30. Maddie writes, once a week is great for us. Absolutely. My car is too small for all the kids and we have fun at home. 2 of my bubs also sleep in the morning, so I'd rather be at home. Absolutely. I'm a bit the same. As long as the scheme has paperwork and has signed appropriate forms, that should be enough. Absolutely. I've got he's 7 months now. I was going to say a new bubba, but he's grown so much so quickly. I have a little bubba on a Tuesday. And so we're not going out at the moment on Tuesdays. But in a few months, we'll start to introduce that to him. So I do find when I have small bubbas, definitely under 6 months, I try not to go out just because we're so settled and we're right at home and we're in our routine. And there'd have to be something pretty special on when I have a new bubba in care to actually go out. I choose a different day. So I will leave it there, guys. Please send your questions in. I love getting questions. I find them really reflective for myself as well, because I look over people's questions and I reflect on how I do it as an educator and why I do things as an educator. I really try to brainstorm different ways of doing things and not just get into that rut of doing things as a habit, but actually doing them for being meaningful and because it really works for me and the children and I. So I will see you next Wednesday night at 7:30 for #EducatorsCan with Nikki and myself. And thank you so much, guys, for being here with me and sending through the questions. And remember to shine. Bye, guys.